Welcome back to your channel. My name is Brad, and today we're going to talk about the growth side of my portfolio and the changes I'm going to be making in 2025. If that's what you're looking for, stick around. Yesterday, I made a video about, link above, about how I was changing my income side of my portfolio. And I didn't say, hey, by the way, I'm changing everything. So we're going to talk about the growth side of my portfolio. I'm a Seeking Alpha affiliate member, and they have a special going on, link below, because they have a webinar coming up in a few weeks. Premium subscribers will be able to join and watch Stephen Kress's top picks for 2025, where in 2023 and 2024, these delivered a surprising return of 140%. That significantly outperforms the S&P 500 and what you end up being able to do with income ETFs. These stocks that Stephen has picked through his quantitative strategy and analysis has outperformed the S&P 500 by more than 80%. You can say, hey, the last slide said 140, this one says 80. Well, the last one was they performed at 140%, and this one they're saying that they outperformed the S&P, so you have to subtract the S&P out of the equation. So that is the difference between the two slides. Just throw it out because people are a little lazy doing math, but that's okay. I'll do the math for you most days. Some days I'll push back and tell you that you need to do your math yourself. By the way, none of this is financial advice, legal advice, or tax advice. I even have my own tax person. But when I use Seeking Alpha, I go down and there is a little thing that says top stocks, top ETFs. So randomly, I go pick on it. No, I don't randomly just go pick on it. I've been looking at this for a while. And when I look at it, I click the top ETFs and I see what is the top ETFs. And I see BITW and Grayscale and MAGS from Round Hill and QTUM from Defiance. And I see a lot of things out there. And I see PFIX. That's another one. That's another interesting one. But I go look at this to see what's going on with the top ETFs. And since I brought up MAGS from Round Hill, because there are some, I'm going to say, so-called people out there on YouTube telling you, oh, you can get rich and everything else and do growth investing with income funds. There's a difference between income and growth. So as soon as somebody says income and growth in the same terms, you almost want to reach through the TV and smack them because they are out there just to rip you off. And that is exactly what they're doing, ripping you off. As I pointed out, MAGS is on here from Round Hill. And I look at this saying, that's interesting because there's a lot of people that like Round Hill and think that they can invest in XTTE and QDTE, and somehow that's magically so much better than growth investing. So let's take a quick look at a chart that shows MAGS against XTTE and QDTE. When I bring up the chart, it's not even close. Wow. This is from when XTTE and QDTE both started. MAGS is up 48%, and those little tiny beanie bitsy funds are at 18 and 19%. Okay. So when you look at this and decide, hey, I want to grow my account and become wealthy, well, you're not going to get there very quick by investing in XTTE and QDTE. They are growth income funds. There's a difference between income investing and growth investing. And you should learn the difference because you don't get to be retired early or have lots of money, like some people want to go around touting, by income investing. It is a slow process. If you want to go grab the fastest turtle, you don't buy something that's selling cover calls or call spreads or any kind of other options, because that is not really going to be the way to get to be rich very quick or very fast. But in retirement, I set aside income, and that is what I live off of. Growth is to get the pot bigger. Simple. And people go, why are you going to invest this and that? Because income is income and growth is growth. And you need to treat them as separate, because growth and income, you can get some funds that cross the line between the two, but in the end, you need to consider growth being growth, because clearly this chart says you would have been way better off in MAGs than XDTE and QDTE. It's not even close. But people out there are telling you, oh, you need to invest in XDTE. It's the best thing ever, and this is how you're going to get wealthy. Okay. Well, they're clearly looking at a different chart than everybody else is looking at. And that's why I would lean closer to the people that have proven it over multiple years in their selection of stocks. I'm not a big stock person, but maybe I would look and listen to them and see where the trends are and pick an ETF that holds multiple stocks, including the ones that they are advertising, and buy in. Just throw it out for conversation. If I go out and take another look at Seeking Alpha, I can go and look at the price over the 10-day simple moving average. And that tells me a lot, because I see quickly that ARK Invest is up there on 2 of their funds. I see QTUM. I see NVIDIA. Hey, NVIDIA's on there. PFIX. That's another one from Simplify. That's an interesting one because it's a hedge against inflation. And long-term inflation seems to be edging upwards on the tail of the 10-year treasuries. Something to think about. And then I look all the way down at the bottom of the chart, and lo and behold, PBDC shows up. Wow, that's actually one of my income funds that I picked. And somehow that's on the top funds for growth investors. Gotta love how these things show up on the charts. Keep in mind, that was when I selected price above the 10-day simple moving average. When I look at the charts, they all have good momentum grades. I see PFIX again with a good momentum grade, but as a growth investor, I might look at PFIX. I would definitely look at QTUM, and I would look at the ARKs to see what they're doing. I'm not investing income to grow my account. I invest in income for the word income, because I use the income for retirement. That is how I have retired early. I got to retire early because I was a growth investor. So if you're in your 20s and 30s and 40s and you're looking to grow your account to get a big pot, I wouldn't be doing a whole lot of income investing. I'd be learning about income investing. I'd be open to income investing, but I would be a little more curious about looking at growth investing. I would use people that have shown to be able to do it over multiple years, like Seeking Alpha with their high percentages on their alpha picks. They've clearly shown that they can pick stocks or ETFs or other things that are going to grow faster. And you can use the tools on Seeking Alpha to go find funds that you may or may not want to get into based on growth. And that will help you grow your account, not using income funds. I mean, I shake my head when people ask me, why are you investing in this and why are you investing that? Because they don't get that income funds generally cap your upside. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, cap your upside. That is the problem. People aren't understanding basic investment terminology, like being capped, and a cover call is a bearish move. They call it a bear call spread. The first word is bear. So keep that in mind when you're doing these income investing strategies. And you should only have what you need for income. And I want to say 30% more than what you need for income in income funds. Everything else should be growth funds. I use IVV, QQQM, and Berkshire Hathaway right now. What I'm going to be going forward with is something a little more on the quantitative side and doing growth investing to grow those accounts. Just a different methodology. And you got to keep the two separate. Keep the two separate. One thing I'll show you real quick, if you go back to that last slide, NVIDIA shows back up on that quantitative analysis and 10-day. So you got to remember, these are total return funds. You have seen Jay talk more and more about total returns, total returns. If you're not catching it, that's also another catchphrase for growth. I look at total returns and I look at the NAV, and then I pick the higher percentages because I know when I do that for income, I have a way to do a larger drawdown. Just talking about income versus growth. In growth, you want the fastest horse. Right now, the fastest horses clearly are not XDTE and QDTE, and that's not how you're going to get wealthy. You're not going to get wealthy by doing that. Sure, many YouTubers can show you how much they get for their income, but when you put their income compared to the mags and you done the same chart, they would have been getting their derriere, that's a good French word, kicked every day of the week, because that is the difference between income investing and growth investing. And I would highly recommend you know the difference between the two. You do growth investing when you're younger and income investing when you're older. You only put what you need into income when you get older, and you might want to do more and more income as you get older and older and older. As I'm at the early stages of my retirement, I'm okay with still having a lot more growth. Maybe if I was in my 70s, I would turn around and say, I need to take more risk off the table and get away from more growth. But until those years tick by, I'm going to put funds in growth funds to grow, uncapped. And I'm going to use income, 30% more than what I need or what my target is. And all honesty, my target is probably 20% more than what I actually need. So I'm really doing a lot better than even what I really need. So hopefully this brings you to the conclusion of growth investing and income investing are two different things. And I'm going to turn to Seeking Alpha going forward in 2025 and look at their analysis and get into funds for growth, for my growth. So my IVV and my QQQM and my Berkshire Hathaway, I'm going to keep my Berkshire Hathaway just by the way. But the others, I may take a certain percentage of those and turn it into other growth funds. Don't know which ones it are. I'm going to be watching that webinar on January 8th and making my decision after that of what funds to get into and what funds I may buy and what stocks I may buy. Although I'm not a great big individual stock owner, but I'm going to take a look at where the trends are for 2025. So go ahead and check out Seeking Alpha. Link again down below. And hopefully this brings you some value. Until next time, God bless.